Alderman Eversmeyer. Alderman Eversmeyer.
Here.
Alderman Ron.
Here.
Alderman Frick.
Here.
All right, so we'll start with new business. I don't have anything new for the committee at this time. Butch, Greg, do you have anything to put into this on the new business portion of this?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything, no.
All right, then we'll move to old business. The first part of old business is the mural at First and Osage. Steve, do we have any new information regarding on this?
No, not really. What we have is the MoDOT response after they had sent, the board had passed a resolution essentially supporting the project. We submitted that to MoDOT. MoDOT said we had to demonstrate a community engagement plan and also provide a safety and accessibility plan. We've had some discussion over that. We have submitted, there's been a couple of letters of support for the project that came from the community. We submitted those. When it comes to safety and accessibility, obviously the area is, there's a pedestrian sidewalk there, but as far as someone wanting to, there's no parking access, excuse me. So any access would be via the sidewalks. And we can certainly, if we were to submit any plan, I think that would be the extent of it, frankly. We just say, look, it's located in a certain spot, and, if you all want us to provide some type of accessibility measures, I'm not sure how we could do that.
All right. They also pretty much wanted the stakeholders, the property owners, to be on board with this, correct?
Right. They had indicated to us they did have concerns about those property owners who had, I believe, sent a letter to MoDOT themselves that expressed their opposition. And to my understanding, that opposition is still there.
Okay. Well, unless we get the stakeholders, the property owners on board, I really don't want to waste time on a safety study and the other item that you discussed until we have them on board. I don't think we need to move forward with this until we have that. Greg and Butch, how do you feel about that?
I agree.
I feel the same way. If the stakeholders aren't on board, meaning the property owners, then there's no reason for us to spend any money on a safety study or anything like that until we get that from, I think, what is there, 4 owners, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't necessarily want to spend any money on safety studies or anything until we know that those people are on board.
I totally agree. I think until those the property owners get on board, we're just going to put this part on hold. And then once, if and when they do, then we can bring this up to head and move forward with some stuff. If you don't have any objection, we'll go ahead and move on to the maintenance facility expansion. I will revert to Steve and Robert.
Hold on, Kim. I think Kim might have a question.
Alderman Eversmeyer, Ms. Fulmer would like to speak. When do you want to allow that?
Let's go ahead and do that before we get into the maintenance facility. Go ahead.
Come on up, Nancy. your stuff there. There. Have a seat. Okay.
Okay.
One over here.
All right, I'll give you name and address.
Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Okay, I would at least like a minute to address a couple of those concerns. As far as the stakeholders, I would like to at least meet with them and have an opportunity to hear from them personally and individually exactly what their objections to the project are, because I don't think that's ever been fully discussed. I remember when this idea was first conceived, before anybody knew anything about it, I made an appointment and I went and talked individually with each property owner up there. At that time, there were only 3. There was one house along there that had been mostly abandoned. It was just in bad shape, but has since been rehabilitated and is now occupied and looks great. But the others that I talked to, Harold Sater expressed some mild concerns, but said he might be able to be persuaded. Seems now that perhaps he has not, but Mr. Coffey on the corner didn't express any objections, and the people on the far end, I think their name is shoot, now I've forgotten.
I know you, I know that.
But
The last one.
They said they had absolutely no objection to it whatsoever. Thought it was a good idea. So we've gone from that to this without any discussion in between.
Hmm.
And I'd like to at least be able to have a conversation with them. And as far as the safety issues, there's accessibility without danger. There's nearby parking, perhaps at Adam's Garden or another spot that might be able to be used for parking. And then there's that empty lot at the southeast corner of First and Osage where they just tore the house down. And that's an empty lot right now. Parking could be there. At that intersection, there is a traffic light and a don't walk sign, which gives a great deal of safety. So I wanted to put together some kind of response to MoDOT addressing these issues. And that's, I'll leave that to you to discuss or decide what you think, but I thank you for letting me tell you my thoughts on this.
I appreciate that, Nancy. I have no objection. Want to contact the property owners. But I mean, at this present time, they're not in favor of the project. Obviously, there might have been at one time, but they're not now. So until we hear differently from them, we're just gonna have to wait for either you can get with them and convince them to get on board, and then we will move forward. But until we get them on board, there's no sense in taking up the staff time and any money for the city's gonna have to do.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't think anybody needs to spend any money on it until we get these issues worked out, but we can't work out anything if we don't talk.
I understand, but if you're wanting to reach out to them individually, I mean, you're more than welcome to do that.
I'm sorry, would you say that again, Jerry?
I said, if you want to contact those property owners individually, and, try to convince them, that's totally up to you. I have no objection to you trying to do that. Then once they get on board, then we can open up the, get the, everything the state needs at that time.
This project has had so much community support that I think it would be good for all of us to see it through and find out if we can still salvage it, because people have expressed such an interest in it and a desire to have a completed project there for the centennial celebration of the road.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. So thank you for your time this morning.
All right, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Greg, Butch, you have
Thank
any
you.
additional comments? All right, so
No, I
Hold on, Kim might have something else here. Kim?
Yeah, I think Mr. Sater would like to speak at this time.
Okay,
Step up. There you go. Have a seat.
Okay,
Okay, we'll roll you over here. There you are, and there's everyone else.
Good morning, Mr. Stater.
good morning.
good morning.
Carol Stater. 111 West Osage. I've lived there 46 years. When Nancy came to my house, we had a very agreeable, friendly conversation. I've known Nancy for 100 years. I did not say yes to the project. I did not say no, but the more I thought about it, I decided you better speak up now, or if in the future something happens and the project goes through, people will say, well, why didn't you speak up? Now, I really didn't come here today to speak, but I thought of something that I want to throw in to everybody.
All right, thank you.
I came to get the update. So far, I've gotten an update. Now, when I'm out on the sidewalk in front of my house, cleaning up the leaves, the debris, I don't do that like I used to, but no one else does it. The leaves, the debris gather at the stairwell at the bottom of my stairs. And I eventually get down there and do it. Now I'm getting to the age where it is kind of a, I don't want to say a hardship. I can still do it, but it's not easy like when I was 45 or 50 or even 65. Now, my problem with the mural is that I'm afraid it's an attractive nuisance, because I feel very uncomfortable at that sidewalk when I'm doing things down there, and I'm always looking over my shoulder to make sure someone doesn't whiz around the corner and run over me. Now, the reason I feel that way is the sidewalk is basically not separated from the roadway. There is a shallow drain that connects the sidewalk to Osage. It would be very easy for someone to whip around that corner and mow down people or somebody that was there looking at the wall. Now, I haven't thought about graffiti. Somebody mentioned that maybe graffiti might be a problem in the future. I don't know if the mural were painted, but that I never thought about. I don't want to be sued if someone climbs on the wall and falls off, even though it is not my wall, it is my fence behind the wall, which they could easily grab and walk the wall. That's how I cleaned that no man's land between my fence and the wall, because MoDOT would not let me put a fence on the wall. And that was, at least 20 years ago. They didn't want anyone doing anything to their wall. So
Right.
I didn't. And I expected MoDOT to be more forceful and not even get to the point to say, well, if you do this or that, you might be able to paint on the wall. Because from what I got when I talked to the lady who was in charge of that, She said, no, you can't do anything to the wall. Okay, I didn't. So I have to contend with the no man's land between my fence and the wall. And on the other side, there is a nice concrete drainage behind the wall, which I don't want messed with.
Okay. I appreciate, oh, okay, go on. I thought you were done.
I think you understand what I'm saying. People that don't live there have not experienced the traffic. I was almost run over with a green light because people coming north do not honor that stoplight, and they're just can't wait to get through it because maybe 3 or 4 or 5 cars might get through. And then actually the car turning west drove in front of me to get in the lane going west. And so I was very close to not being here anymore because it was very dangerous. That's a dangerous intersection. I see more problems there for the city police and accidents and lawsuits, and I don't want to be a part of it. That's my objection to it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. All right, this time we'll move to the maintenance facility expansion. Steve and Robert, can you give us an update, please?
Yeah, I'll start. I know the committee, of course, recall we engaged Navigate Building Solutions for a kind of a preliminary planning study relating to the Public Works and Parks building. We included that the draft report was in that committee packet that was sent out earlier. Kind of defer to you all for how deep we want to get into it. I will say I think the report was exactly what we asked for. They had met with Robert and Chris Fowler, Park Superintendent, myself. I think Steve Myers was involved in some of that. They got the lay of the land from us, understood, the big picture needs, and obviously then put it all on paper. The cost, what they've provided there as a cost estimate is a kind of a range of magnitude cost. We're looking in the neighborhood of, I think, 6 to 8 million, which I know is a pretty wide range. Total program budget, 6.7 to 8.5. And, that's a pretty big number, of course. I'd want the committee know that, we asked them to give us, kind of the big picture, right? If we were trying to do everything that we reasonably would anticipate we need right now, what would that cost? So we did not want to skimp at this phase. We wanted to understand.
Right.
And I think Navigate did a very fine job here, gave us the information. I would like to Robert to chime in here. Robert, what's your opinion of this?
Well, I mean, yeah, they did a good job. But I think we're gonna have to probably scale down a bit. I don't know what your guys' thought is. I mean, that seems like a pretty high number. I don't know where we're at as far as be able to budget anything close to that.
Well, could this be done in stages? I mean, how many
Well, I mean,
buildings are we looking at?
yeah, well, I think we need to get back with Navigate, and I know, like, for instance, she has for us, we have 5 equipment bays, but then they have 6 equipment bays for Parks and Rec. I don't really see where they need 6 equipment bays, because you figure each bay you can have 2 vehicles in, because you got a front door and a back door. So I mean, I think they could scale that back down to probably 3, because if with 6 bays, that you're going to be able to get 12 things in there. Well, he's got a couple trucks and a small tractor and a little bit of equipment. So I don't know why they went so big on the park side. I know talking to Chris before, he mentioned something about, just putting like a shed or something, over at one of the parks or something closer, to where he can keep his equipment there. So I think we just need to kind of step back and kind of reevaluate and see what all the actual needs are and what the expectations are and like what the building is. I'm down here in his office now. But see what they're planning on, what the overall plan is for this building, the Winchester building. If they're going to continue to use this for a few years or what's going on.
All right. I guess one of my questions was there, obviously, if we need to downsize a little bit, I mean, obviously, we want to have a little bit of room of expansion for the future. But I guess my thing would be, Steve, can this be broken down into different stages of construction?
Yes, yes. I didn't get into detail with Navigate over that, but the answer, of course, is yes, we can do that. In my discussion with her, I kind of said the same thing. I said, it's a decision for the board. I mean, can we fund it at this level? Yes, but it would require pretty significant increases in water and sewer charges and so forth. So then the question becomes, what if we want to scale back, get to say 4 million? And, the answer is yes, of course we can do that. I think just thinking out loud, and Robert and I haven't discussed in great detail, I think you'd probably reduce some of the park features as a kind of one of the, if you're trying to scale back, I think Robert's right. You probably want to reduce some of that park piece first. Kind of go from there.
Okay. Butch or Greg, you have any comments?
No, I like the idea of being able to do it in phases or perhaps, looking at ways that we can get the cost down. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big number. And I know that the city has a number of things they want to spend money to improve our city. And I just think we have to kind of prioritize and figure out where that money is going to be best spent. So for one, I would recommend that we look at how we can do this either in phases or how we can reduce it. And then number two, if the numbers are going to be still relatively big, I think Steve, we're going to need from you, here's kind of all the stuff we're trying to do right now. And somehow we need to prioritize it so that we don't, so that we're spending the money, reliably.
Yeah, let me just address that kind of quickly. I don't want to belabor it. We do have a major wastewater project that's in design, heading down the path toward bidding. It's about 4 million right now is the preliminary cost estimate. And, we've been working on this for several months. We do think there's a possibility to get some American Rescue Plan Act federal funds. And so we want to pursue that. But right now, that 4 million is the top priority for the public works capital budget. And to, beyond that, I mean, there's a lot of different things you could look at. But we will need to look at our user charges in the context of this project. And we haven't really analyzed that closely yet. But, once we get into actual, get a kind of a sharper estimate number, then we'll do some of the finance work. We'll get with, our consultants and come back with some sharper numbers. But, that is the one project that clearly takes precedence over any others right now on the public works side.
All right. Greg, you got anything?
Just, I'm sure there's probably ways that this can be scaled down a little bit and or done in phases. So I think that's probably where we need to go with this. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what the next step exactly. But I do know that what Steve Roth was just saying, that project that's now up to $4 million, the sewer project, is going to have to be done, from what I remember from the board meetings.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm not sure what the next step is.
Steve, can we, give you obviously time, I don't want to do this in 2 weeks. Maybe see if we can get the cost down on this project and maybe have it, see if it could be broken down into different phases, to where, we can do one part of it, over the next 2 years, and then, and we can keep building onto that expansion until we get to the end product.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we are beginning work on the next budget. There's a lot of projects on the table, that's for sure. And I think what might be good for all of us is for me to put together an overall capital budget as relates to public works, infrastructure, and so forth. And, you guys can see all the projects we have and how they, could be financed, or what essentially our finance plan is for the existing planned projects, and then how we can finance those others that are under consideration.
Okay. Why don't we do that? Put together a presentation to us with all the different projects that we got coming ahead, and then maybe a way to break this project down into something that'll work over the next couple of years. Or, of course, it'd be nice if we could do it next year, but.
Robert, let me ask you this. What would you say would be your top number one need? What's a critical need that you have right now?
Well, just some more indoor storage and some heated spaces. So when this all, I guess, first started, what I was looking at doing is we have the upper shed now with the bays that are unheated, and I was wanting to partition off a couple of the bays, insulate it, and put a heater in there for like some of our newer equipment, like our vac trailer, if it needs to be, climate controlled. So what I wouldn't mind doing is maybe getting with Navigate and see if we can come up with a couple different maybe alternatives instead of building, one big massive brick building. There might be options of adding on to our existing upper storage building, which is just a metal building. We might be able to add some bays to that, which would be a lot cheaper than, a brick building. It's already metal up there now. We've added onto it once. Maybe there's a few options like that we could build in the back of the lot that wouldn't be visible to the public eye, that we could do out of, a metal building instead of, such a big, massive brick building. So there might be some options we could do like that first, in the near future, and then look at doing more of the offices and all that, in a different phase.
Okay. Why don't we look into that? Kind of expanding on what we already have. Then, expanding those other buildings up, like I said, and get that stuff, ideally, obviously, I know what you want to do. You want to get all the equipment under cover. And then obviously we need to work on some office spaces and maybe come up with a little bit different approach. So why don't we work on that, Steve? You there?
Yes.
All right, so why don't we work on maybe, trying to find a way to trim down this project a little bit as far as finance wise, and then get back with us, with a list of all the projects and priorities, so we can see where we can place making these improvements down there at that maintenance facility. Have we thought about putting, you know, how you got those mobile, like mobile office buildings, office like trailers, you know what I'm talking about, you know, that you could put down there to expand the office space down there.
Not really. We haven't had that discussion. You know, I don't know if any of you have actually been to the maintenance facility, especially in recent months, but it's, you know, the office space is not good. I mean, we are pretty well maxed out on space. You know, and I'd always kind of follow Robert's lead to some degree. I know he's probably not going to be the guy asking for a bigger office, but I mean, at some point, the office need is going to need to be addressed. You know, my preference is kind of what we're discussing. I think we need to put all this together and establish more of a actual program budget. I do think there could be opportunities to, you know, finance some improvements through, you know, a finance package that may be coming for the big wastewater improvement. You know, you carve out a piece of that and address it toward the public works need. So, yeah, I mean, I think we can maybe approach it from that angle.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we give you some time to put together a plan and get back with us? You know, would it probably another 3-4 weeks down the road would be enough time for you, or you?
Yes, I've had some preliminary discussions with the finance team over, you know, what would be required on the sewer project. So to kind of to carve out a little bit of public works budget there, I think that's doable. Then it kind of becomes a question of, you know, what do you really need and how much budget is it going to require? I think we can do it though. I do. I think, you know, in theory, the next operations meeting would be what, a month from now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can have something. It would be kind of preliminary, but at least it'd be some, you know, discussion points on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want this to drown out. I mean, I totally agree that the maintenance facility needs to be expanded and improved, and I believe Greg and Butch are on board with that too. The project, I just don't want it to die out, and but there are some things down there, whatever, you know, if Robert needs, you know, some stuff that needs to be done right now to protect our equipment, I mean, obviously that's a high priority, so.
Yes, so in the meantime, Steve, do you want me to get with Katie at Navigate and kind of try to come up with a couple of different options?
Yeah. Yes. Let's do that.
So I think Greg, Butch, I think what we can do is we'll give the staff time to put some more information together for us. And then we'll schedule a meeting a month from now. We can schedule that down once we get closer to that date, you know. Do you have any objections to that?
No, I think it's a good plan.
All right, Greg?
No, I think all of it sounds good. Number one priority being, you know, maybe, I don't know if it would help Robert with find out what it cost to insulate.
So
You broke up there, Greg. I can see you, but I can't hear you, Greg.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It keeps kicking me out and I have to keep going back in. I'm sorry. But I don't know. I think that would be step number one. If Robert needs that whole building heated and insulated, let's look at that first. Would that help you, Robert?
yeah, well, the main thing is I need 2 bays. I need one for our vac
Okay.
trailer, which we use constantly. That's like one of the best things we've ever bought. We've been using it left and right. And then our sewer machine. And where the sewer machines are now, it's on the very end. It was added on years ago, and it's heated, but it's really hard to get the trailer units in and out of there, the way the parking layout is. So I mean, my top priority would be getting 2 of the bays up there insulated, but the problem we have is storage. No offense to Kim, but in the police department, there's pallets and pallets of stuff still up there that we're storing for the police and stored, in the city hall. So that kind of cuts down one of my bays right off the bat, but it might be cost effective just to maybe look at just doing the whole building, versus partitioning it off. Well, that's something we can look at.
Is there any excess room at all in the Wingate building or not?
Wind Tech building, no, it's
Uh,
consumed at the moment with the museum collection.
Okay,
Storage is a real issue, no question. We're pretty much maxed out here at City Hall, and obviously we're using some of the Public Works building for it. One thing we bounce around very kind of informally is, there's these storage pods, and maybe we could rent one of those and set it at the Public Works site. But that is an issue we really do need to address.
is there any room in the back of the Wind Tech, I can't say it, Wind Tech building that you could add on? Would that be a cheaper alternative? Or is there even any room back there?
Well, we've already started the process. We have a small outbuilding that we store the tractor in and some of the equipment, but there is other equipment that's still sitting outside uncovered, and it needs to be contained somewhere. That lot is deeper than the building. We haven't really discussed making any additional structures back behind the building, but I guess it would be an option.
Yeah, I just didn't know if maybe that might be a cheaper and maybe more immediate approach to just, I mean, I know it won't help the entire issue, but to at least get a more immediate relief as far as the bays, et cetera. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out.
All right, well, let's see if we can come up with a plan for the storage also. I know we had asked, I guess it's got to go through to microfiche. I think is what Kim said, is the requirement. Still don't like that, but it's the state, they're inches behind. Is it cost effective instead of building buildings and stuff of putting all that on microfiche?
So the stuff down in the Public Works building, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, just in general for all of that stuff that we have, that's being stored. I would say probably most of it's paper, I guess.
We haven't microfilmed in a long time. Some of the stuff we can microfilm and not have to keep. Some of it, if we microfilm, we still have to keep. So it just kind of depends. A lot of the stuff down in the Public Works building is payroll stuff. And so I have to keep it anyway. Like Steve said, we've talked about like a pod or something just to be able to put stuff in. We're always looking to destroy whatever we can just to make room for stuff, but it's a very difficult challenge.
Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at maybe a pod storage, it's like obviously we have better use of the bays, for equipment, and those payroll records, I've done payroll for many years, talking about. Does the state require you to keep that forever?
I think it's 80 years or something crazy like
80
that.
years?
But we have it back from, to the beginning of time. I would need to check on if we can destroy any of that if we get it microfilmed.
Yeah, I would think it'd be 7 years.
And we've had to go down, Robert knows, we've had to go down there a couple times and look for stuff. We have
Oh, have you?
found it, but it's quite a challenge.
All right. All right, let's get some information on that, what it costs to maybe do some microfishing and maybe get a storage container down there so we can free up a bay down there for Robert. And then we can go from there. I think that's it. I think we pretty much covered quite a bit. And I appreciate everybody coming forward. We do have miscellaneous on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to include in the miscellaneous?
Then, no, I don't.
Okay. So at this time, Steve, you have any questions on what we kind of need to do for the next month?
No, I appreciate the committee time, and it helps us kind of stay on task and get our, provide a little bit better focus. The storage is a real need. I think we have a few priorities, but we got to address that storage. That frankly may be one of the top priorities coming out of this discussion.
All right. Yeah, let's take a look at that and see what we need to do. And to get some clarification, if Kim could get some clarification on the storage requirements as far as the length of time, that kind of stuff to help you out. If you're good to go, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that ends the operations committee. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.